Hey there, it's time for a little quilt show and tell. I got this quilt all done. It's all finished, bound, quilted, has the label and everything. Again, this is designed by the same person who designed the quilt that you've been watching me work on for the last several weeks. This one is called My Sunday Best, and the fabric line that this is made with is called Sunday Brunch, and you'll be able to see that on the backing. I showed it to you in another video here a while back, but anyway, it's all quilted, and I did a special kind of binding that I'll show you up close here in a second. There are actually a couple of fun mistakes um, that I did in the piecing. One of them is here in this dress. If you notice, the skirt is one color and the bodice is another color. It's the same print, but it's just another color because I think when I was cutting, I think I cut one of them, either the skirt or the bodice, out of the wrong fabric and then didn't have enough to make it the right color, if that makes sense. And I just thought, why not make it two colors? We all buy dresses like that. Those of us who buy dresses occasionally. And then the other one is right here. And I'll show you that one up close as well. This is, you notice they all have a little waistband. And I did some fussy cutting on this one for her bodice. For the bodice part of the dress, I cut it so that you could see this gal sitting at the table. She's kind of reclining at the table with her little martini glass in her hand. And so I cut one of those for this. And then I realized I'd sewn this piece on and she was upside down. And I thought, you know what? I'm just going to turn that over. And so she has a pretty decorative band up on the top of her bodice instead of at the waistband. So there you go. And that's all the mistakes I made. Not true. This one was deceptively tricky because some of the things didn't line up like they should, and I got a little bit of wonkiness when I started really assembling the quilt together. But once I got it quilted, that all kind of became not as noticeable, which makes me happy. But I know the way to fix those issues. Now I can do some other things and hopefully that won't happen as much. But anyway, let's take a look. Hold on. So now we're going to take a look up close. For instance, what I was just talking about. Here's the dress made the way it's supposed to be made. And then here's the dress that I goofed on. And you see, here she is sitting at her table with her, I'm going to call it maybe it's a morning martini, a brunch martini, or a mimosa. Who knows? But I just switched it so everything would be going right side up. And then here is the other one where for some reason I didn't have enough of one of these two fabrics and I just decided to make it two colors. Also fussy cut with the little kitty cat sitting in the chairs, by the chairs there. So, and here's a close-up of the quilting pattern. It's called Grow with the Flow. And I downloaded it, and when I downloaded it, it was really pretty on paper. But when I used this on another quilt here a while back, and it quilts out so pretty. And then the binding, this is a special binding treatment. It's called a faux flange binding. And there's a whole process. You cut strips of this fabric and strips of this fabric, sew them together, flip them over. But the great thing about it is I can sew this down by machine and it goes a little bit faster. I typically sew my bindings on. I sew the binding on with my sewing machine, and then I flip it over and stitch it down on the back by hand. And I actually like doing that. It's kind of calming and therapeutic. So here's the rest of it. And over here is the backing. And I showed you that in an earlier video. It's got a gray background. This particular piece has a gray background. And I think the pink really jumps out on that. And that's why I used that in the flange as well. It doesn't show a lot. You don't see a lot of the pattern, but it really pops out on that pink. And then my label is right here. Whoops, sorry. It's called My Sunday Best. I actually pieced it last summer and quilted it last week. So that's my show and tell for today. I don't have anything else on the show and ready to show and tell yet. We're going to make a quick road trip down to the Live Shack, and I'm going to take some of my soiree quilt pieces with me and do some of that handwork that I was talking about on Monday or Tuesday, whatever day that was that I posted that video. And so those will be ready and finished when we get back. We're just doing a real quick, let's go check on the house run. So that's all for now. We'll see you later.